Marissa's Good afternoon, councillors. I declare this meeting of Glamorgan Spring Bay Council open at 2 p.m.
Glamorgan Spring Bay Council acknowledges the traditional owners of our region and recognises their continuing connection to land, waters and culture. We pay our respect to their elders past and present.
Thank you. In accordance with Regulation 8 of the Local Government Meeting Procedure Regulations 2025, please be advised that this meeting is being audio and visually recorded. I ask that all attendees remain respectful and considerate of others. Offensive, defamatory or threatening language or behaviour will not be tolerated. Agenda item 1.1 is attendance and apologies. All councillors are in attendance. Councillor Churchill, Councillor Young, Councillor Walker, Deputy Mayor Simons, Councillor Gregson and Councillor Edwards. The Councillor McQueenie is an apology for this open meeting. Her circumstances may allow her attendance at the closed session. That will be recorded accordingly in those minutes. In attendance officers, we have the Acting General Manager and Director Works and Infrastructure, Mr. Peter Port. The Acting Director Planning and Development, Mr. James Bonner. Executive Officer, Mrs. Jasmine Kerr. Administration Officer, Ms. Christy McConnon. Our Rates Officer, Mrs. Danny Tuck. And attending by remote is our Consultant Accountant, Mrs. Marissa Walters. Thank you. Agenda item 1.2 is late reports. I don't believe we have any late reports.
No late reports. All items are mentioned on the agenda.
Thank you. Agenda item 1.3, declaration of interest in a matter of by a councillor. As Mayor, I request elected members to indicate whether they have 1, an interest personally or via a close associate as defined in section 49 of the Local Government Act 1993, or 2, any conflict as described in the Model Code of Conduct for Councillors in any item included in the agenda. Nothing? Thank you. Confirmation of the minutes, agenda item 2.1, the ordinary meeting of the 27th of May. There is a recommendation on page 6. Deputy Mayor, thank you.
I'll move that the minutes of the ordinary meeting of Council held on the 27th of May 2025 at 2 p.m. be confirmed as true and correct record.
Thank you. Seconded, Councillor Young. Thank you. I will put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? Carried unanimously. Agenda item 2.2 is the date and purpose of workshops held Tuesday the 10th of June. There is a recommendation on page 7. Councillor Walker.
Thank you. I'll move that council knows the information.
Have a seconder. Councillor Gregson. Put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Agenda item 2.3 is the audit panel minutes, Tuesday the 3rd of June meeting. There is a recommendation on page 9. Thank you. Councillor Churchill.
I move that Council receives and notes the attached minutes of the Glamorgan Spring Bay Council audit panel meetings held on 3rd of June 2025.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Councillor Gregson. No comment. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? It's carried unanimously. Thank you. Agenda item 3 is public question time. There were questions at the last meeting that were taken on notice. There are there were responses from the Acting General Manager. In this, as was stated at the last meeting, Mr. Porch, is there anything that you wish to add to that at this point? Or
No, Madam Chairperson, I think the correspondence has been sufficient.
Thank you. Agenda item 3.2, there are no questions on notice. Agenda item 3.3, I don't believe we have any questions without notice. Thank you. Agenda item 4, under Regulation 25 of the Local Government Meeting Procedures Regulation 2015, the chairperson hereby declares the council is now acting as a planning authority under the provisions of the Land Use Planning and Approvals Act 1993, the section 4 of the agenda. There is a recommendation on page 13. Yeah, Deputy Mayor?
I'll move that council now acts as a planning authority at 2:05.
I thank you. There, seconded councillor Young. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? It's carried unanimously. Thank you. Agenda item 4.1 is DA 2025/43 251 Harvey's Farm Road. There is a recommendation on page 33. Councillor Walker, thank you.
Thank you. I'll move that pursuant to section 57 of the Land Use Planning and Approvals Act 1993 and the Tasmanian Planning Scheme for Morgan Spring Bay, DA 2025/43 at 251 Harvey's Farm Road, CT 136499/25 for a retrospective change of use to food services in brackets restaurant to be approved with the following conditions 1 to 5 and revised A to H.
Is there a seconder? Deputy Mayor, thank you. Wish to speak to the motion, councillor
No,
Walker?
thank you.
Speaker for the motion? Speaker against the motion?
I'm going to,
Councillor Gregson?
I'm just going to speak about the development. This is the third retrospective application we've had in 2 months. It's the zoning is a little bit ambiguous. It says here the residential to food services, which I assume to be commercial, and there is within the agenda here it also mentions rural living. So I'd really like to see whether as part of the conditions, the applicant may like to consult the Tasmanian Planning Commission to see whether they need a special application present for the SAP.
Councillor Gregson, could I ask you, do you have a question because you're
Yes.
making a statement?
No, I'm just asking, do they need a special area plan for this application?
So I'll have to ask Mr Bonner to respond to that. The question, Mr Bonner, was does the applicant require a special area plan for this particular application?
Through you, Mayor, no,
No.
in short, I'm a bit unclear as to,
Councillor Gregson's question?
Yes, can I clarify that through the mayor? Can I
Yes.
clarify that? It's just the zoning. It says within here.
Madam Mayor, I can't hear what's being
No,
said.
Councillor Young, I agree with you totally. Councillor Gregson, you are going to have to speak up
Right.
because some of us do have some issues with hearing you
Yeah.
and also for the recording. Mr Bonner, I don't think quite understands where you're going with this question.
I'm just going to clarify it.
So you need to sit round though,
Yeah.
and ask the question, so
Yeah.
that the rest of us can hear, okay?
It's to do with zoning. I've got here, it's either rural living or residential, and then it's.
Madam Mayor, what is the question?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly, thank you, because Mr.
Yeah.
Gregson, councillor Gregson, I do need you to ask a question.
Right,
It is
yes,
not a statement.
No, it's not. No. It's it's residential here at the present time, and the new use is commercial. So therefore, do they need a rezoning? Please.
Thank you.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor.
Mr Bonner,
No,
thank you.
the rural zone allows for a food services use as a discretionary use. So what the report is referring to is that the use of the property at the moment is a residential use that has a dwelling. This will change, or this applies to change part of the property to a commercial use, which is the food services use, which is permissible in the zone.
Oh, it's permissible, is it?
Yes.
And the second question is, what defines a representor?
Madam,
What-
Mayor, can I hear the question again, please?
What defines a representor?
Do you have a dictionary?
I'm just asking the question.
No, no.
In a representative would be someone who writes to council and makes a representation about an application, whether it's before or against. It's basically making a submission about the application, so they can be for or against to you now.
Just through the Mayor, does the representative have to be someone who lives adjoining the property, or can they be interstate without any
Councillor
knowledge?
Gregson, I can answer that question. The short answer is no. Anyone can lodge a representation on any DA that they see on our council website.
They don't have to live within the proximity. No, it's right. Okay, that's fine.
And it was, sorry, any further? Any speaker against the motion? Speaker for the motion? No further speakers? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? Councillor Gregson is against. The motion is carried. It was remiss of me not to mention for those watching on live stream that Ms Tiara Williams, our planner, has joined us in the chamber for this particular agenda item. Agenda item 4.2 is DA 2025/059 34 Fraser Street, Bicheno, a two-storey dwelling. The recommendation is on page 33 for this one. Deputy Mayor, thank you.
I'll move that pursuant to section 57 of the Land Use Planning and Approvals Act 1993 and the Tasmanian Planning Scheme, DA 2025/059 at 34 Fraser Street, Bicheno, bracketed CT 104189/2, for a two-storey dwelling be approved with the following conditions: 1 through to 8, and the advice A through to I.
Thank you. Seconder, councillor Edwards. Thank you. Deputy Mayor, do you wish to speak to the motion?
No.
No. Speaker for the motion? Speaker against the motion?
I'm not-
Councillor Gregson?
The excavated fill, is that part of the underlying structure of the building? Because I can't see within the plan whether the actual building is on the actual excavated fill, or is it on solid land?
Madam Mayor, is that a speak for or against the motion?
Yes, exactly. Are you speaking for or against the motion, councillor Gregson?
I'm trying to ascertain whether I'm going to vote for
Right,
or
so
against.
Madam Mayor, I didn't hear what the councillor said.
he's asking about excavation. Councillor Gregson, Mr Bonner and General Manager of ICANN, that would form part of any permits under the building code, wouldn't it? We're just dealing now with the permit, the development application under our state planning scheme as it sits at the moment. So Councillor Gregson's question about excavation comes in the next stage, which will be dealt with by council officers. Councillor Churchill, did you have a question? Or have I taken your thoughts away?
Yeah, you actually have taken my thoughts away.
I'm
But,
sorry.
But I do have concerns about that, and I seriously have concerns for the neighbour involved here with that construction going within 600 mil of the boundary. I totally understand that it is in the building phase, I get that, but I do hope that there is engineering involved in that, because I see this as a potential problem for the future, for both the builder, the owner of the property, and for the neighbouring property. So we don't get a contribution into the building part of it. That is done by council officers, rightly so, but it'd be still nice to feel that there will be at least engineering requested for that. Thank you.
So Mr Bonner, would you like to comment on Councillor Churchill's question about the building? So as I understand it, all those matters, engineering and the like, will be dealt with at the building permit stage.
This is correct, Mayor. It is a matter for the building surveyor to address as part of the building approval stage. And my understanding is that due to the height of the wall, it would require engineering certification.
No, that's
That
fine.
answers your question, councillor?
My comments were outside of the planning scheme, so
That's
I'm
okay.
very accepting of the answer, thank you.
I think in the whole process though, it is a concern around the GA and then go forward to the building permits. So, yeah. Any further comment or questions in relation to this matter? Councillor Edwards?
Just make a quick comment that obviously our planning department have looked at this fairly strenuously and as we brought it to a workshop, and I think they've done a very good job in mitigating through what could have been an awkward situation, but I think they've done a good job in getting it to where it is.
Thank you. There's nothing further. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? Motion is carried unanimously. Move on, agenda item 5 is the financial reports. Sorry, oh,
We
no,
can close.
I have to close. Thank you. Thank you very much.
The green
Councillor,
came back on.
picking that up.
Madam Mayor.
Councillor Young. I need to make a statement, Councillor Young, before you move the motion.
Please make it, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. I missed it. Under Regulation 25 of the Local Government Meeting Procedures, Regulation 2015, the chairperson hereby declares that the council is no longer acting as a planning authority under the provisions of the Land Use Planning and Approvals Act 1993 for Section 4 of the agenda. Now, Councillor Young.
I move that council no longer acts as a planning authority at 2:17.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Councillor Churchill. Thank you. Thank you for picking that up, Councillor Churchill. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? Motion's carried unanimously. We will now move on to the financial reports. Councillor Young.
Madam Mayor, I move the council receive and note the financial reports as attached to this report for the period ended May 2025.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Councillor Churchill. Councillor Young, do you wish to speak to the
No,
motion?
Madam Mayor.
No. Any other speakers for or against the motion? Nothing further. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? It's carried unanimously. Thank you. Agenda item 6 is the section 24 committees. There is agenda item 6.1 is the Tribunal Community Hall minutes for the 27th of May meeting. Councillor Walker?
Yeah, I move that the minutes of the Tribunal Hall Committee meeting held on the 27th of May 2025 be received and noted.
Thank you. Is there a second of Councillor Young? Do you wish to speak to the motion,
Yes,
Councillor
just
Walker?
if I may, I think it may have been a typo, but on page 40 under new business, hall hire exemptions, it says GSBC and its officers. And second dot point is Tribunal Primary School. I would suggest that that may be Tribunal District School.
Thank you. Any other speakers?
I'd just like,
Councillor Gregson?
through the mayor, I'd just like to concur with Councillor Walker with the Tribunal Primary School. I assume that you're in primary high school, but she's quite correct when she says the Tribunal District High School, is it?
No, it's
No.
just district.
Yes,
Just
district
district
school,
school now.
okay. And I just, on page 42, I'd like to know who John Carroll McQueen is.
No, we've got the
Madam
wrong
Mayor,
one.
that's not the motion, and
No,
that
it
before the
isn't.
chair.
And Councillor Gregson, the situation is with section 24 minutes, council can only receive them. The minutes do belong to the particular section 24 committee, so it's up to them to make the amendments to them. This is just passing a legislative requirement. Nothing further? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? Carried unanimously. Agenda item 6.2 is the Seafarers Memorial Committee minutes from the 5th of May. Councillor Edwards, thank you.
I move that the minutes of the Tasmanian Seafarers Memorial Committee meeting held on 5th of May 2025 be received and noted.
Thank you. Seconded, Councillor Young. Councillor Edwards, do you wish to speak to it?
It's all very
Thank
self-explanatory.
you. Any questions or comments? And further, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? Carried unanimously. Thank you. 6.3 is the Divisional Hall Committee minutes, the 10th of April 2025. Deputy Minister Chair.
I'll move that the minutes of the Bicheno Memorial Hall Committee meeting held on the 10th of April 2025 be received and noted.
Thank you. Seconder. Councillor Edwards, thank you. Do you want to comment?
No, I'd just like to thank the committee. They're doing a great job, and in particular our chairperson, Anakin. So it's a good group. Much appreciated.
Council in general, across our hall committees and various other Section 24 committees, we are incredibly lucky with the volunteers that we have. Any other questions or comments? Nothing further? A motion. All those in favour? Those against? Unanimously, thank you. Move on, agenda item 7 is information report. 7.1 is the acting general manager's report. It is a recommendation. Councillor Edwards.
I move that council notes the information.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Councillor Walker, thank you. Councillor Edwards, comment? No. Questions? Councillor Gregson.
Just through the mayor on page 46, it says in the last sentence, opportunities to spread learning and employment outcomes through Glamorgan Spring Bay will be explored. What exactly is that place? Is that a uni prep course or what would be involved there?
Excuse me, Madam Mayor, is that the bottom of page 46, did you say,
No,
councillor?
at 46, you got community development, and under that there's 1, 2, 3, 4 paragraphs, and the last paragraph, the fourth paragraph, the last sentence, opportunities to spread learning and employment outcomes through Glamorgan Spring Bay will be explored. Before corresponding for noting.
Okay.
Yep.
In community development. So this is in relation to meetings that have commenced around the Eastern Strategic Regional Partnership, and one of the activities within that's being initiated through that group has a strong focus in Breaker Day Council as opposed to here. We're seeing what they're doing there. We're seeking to leverage off that and to find mechanisms between Sorel, where VEST is involved through CERTA, which we're involved with, and the Strategic Regional Partnership in St Helens, which we're involved with, to endeavour to get outcomes for our municipality, leveraging off both of those two, conscious that we're unlikely to get a hub within our own area, at least not in the short term. But if we can leverage off those two, they are intended to work across this area, but it's incumbent upon us to leverage off that and do the work with them to try and get these outcomes. So that's the intent there. We're creating opportunities for people within this municipality.
So could you give me an example of what you hope to get an income?
So part of the within VEST, they've been successful in getting a hub in Sorel through which you can do your university courses in a building which is equipped to facilitate that more easily than doing it at home. So again, obviously, Sorel's a bit closer to this end of the region than others. There might be opportunities that we can promote through the schools to enable local people to be able to attend or gain qualifications through that mechanism. Similarly, on the northern end of our municipality through Bicheno, through the hub at St Helens, to also give opportunity to young folk living there, adults, doesn't matter. Universities open to all people. So creating those opportunities there, working with the school to identify students who may transition through that mechanism. So I can't give you an example of a particular course, but those range of courses that are offered, providing these pathways to employment through these mechanisms.
Just through the corresponding for noting, would Mr. Porch kindly elaborate, or if you can elaborate, it's got Minister of Vets quarry operations. Can you expand on that?
Certainly, Madam Mayor, through you. Senator Betts wrote to council indicating that quarries in the southeastern part of Tasmania, of which we're a significant part of the southeastern part of Tasmania, had indicated issues with planning permits and being able to operate quarries and noise restrictions and dust restrictions, etc. And it was a reasonably pointed letter, we felt, when we read it. So I wrote back to Senator Betts asking for specific examples where council's planning processes have inhibited the operation of quarries within our area. We could not identify where through our planning and development department of council, where we'd had an application that was frustrated as a result of those issues. So we've sought clarity from Minister Abetz around that issue.
And probably and letter outgoing, Mr. Retreat was seeking clarification on Crown land ownership. Could you expand on that?
Certainly, through you again, Madam Mayor. There are issues of rate reductions for certain businesses that operate in the area that are governed by the land holding, the way that the land is designated. If the land is designated as being held specifically for purposes of charitable operations, something like that, then a rebate is applicable. It turns out that those determinations can't be made by Crown Land Services, but can be made by the Minister. So we've asked the Minister for a determination in a matter so that we can either appropriately apply a rate rebate or refuse the rate rebate on the basis of that determination.
And my last question is through the Mayor, Tasmanian Local Government Security Forum. Could you expand on that, please?
Certainly, Councillor, for you, Madam Mayor. Security Forum was held to assist local government to understand and identify potential sources of foreign interference in the levels of government. And that may be that council laws might be approached by agents of a foreign country who may be looking to establish interests within the state to meddle somewhat in domestic affairs. And so these workshops were to just assist us to be able to identify matters that might be of that nature.
Councillor Young, then Councillor Edwards.
Thank you.
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Mr. Porch. Is it not correct, Mr. Porch, that the granting of a permit by council for a development does not authorise the holder of the permit to create a public or private nuisance which may give some person a right to sue the permit holder for damages?
Through you, Madam Mayor, I would have to take that question on notice.
Thank you. Councillor Edwards.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor. Firstly, through my years of owning a quarry, the council only ever tried to help me, so that's quite. I was rather hoping the local security forum would have been cameras going up at the wreck ground, but sadly it's all about spies.
Do we have some?
I was wondering if you could have an update on the co-health monthly meeting. I've had a number of people commenting on the extraordinary amount of time it takes to get in to see a doctor. Some people have been told to book a month in advance, which is all very well if you know you're going to be sick a month in advance. Otherwise, it's somewhat tricky.
Through you, Madam Mayor, we're certainly aware that there are international developments that have made it difficult for a local doctor to get back home again. Which is most unfortunate. We have an update on their securing a doctor for the Bishno area, which is very good news. And beyond that, the challenges, as council well knows, of running a medical practice and the challenges around that. Beyond that, I haven't got any new update, but certainly the news about one of our doctors being overseas and having difficulty getting back would be very troubling for CoHealth.
Yeah.
And it has an impact on the community.
Yeah, it certainly does.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nothing further? No further questions? I'll put the motion for the acting general manager's report. All those in favour? Those against? Carried unanimously. Agenda item 7.2 is the Director of Works and Infrastructure's report, Mr. Porch. There is a recommendation on page 53. Councillor Walker,
Thank you. I'll move that council notes the information.
seconder please. Councillor Gregson, thank you. Are there any questions or comments on the Director of Works and Infrastructure's report? Councillor Walker, do you have anything?
Only to say that, just to acknowledge that Mr. Porch is a very busy man, having two reports in here, one being, or both of them being equally important to council.
Thank you. Councillor Gregson.
On page 50, and this is Seabourn Creek. Is it Seabourne instead of Seabyne? Have I got it wrong or not, please?
No idea, Councillor Gregson. Do you, Mr. Porch?
Madam Mayor, it's a question that I would be very happy to take on notice.
Thank you.
I think you're right.
Yeah, thank you. And also, just the next dot point, replace missing bullnose on bridge at Rocky Hills Drive, Rocky Hills. That's not the Rocky Hills as in the Rocky Hills Bridge, is it? As we know it, or is it in the?
Through you, Madam Mayor, council has a bridge on the side road there. It's certainly not state road.
No.
No, it's council road.
Oh, is it? Could you explain where exactly that is?
As you
Madam Mayor, I
drive
think
through
you have a
Rocky
question.
Hills, head left on a little side road and there's a concrete bridge deck that's not far off the road. I couldn't tell you how far it is from Mayfield Beach. It is within 3 kilometres of Mayfield Beach, I suspect,
Yeah.
on the left.
Okay. And I'd just like to commend the Swansea Foreshore walking track maintenance around the golf course. I've had a number of complaints about that and it's been completed, so that's very good news. So congratulations. And the last question is it Nautilus Drive? Whereabouts is
Nautilus.
Nautilus.
Nautilus Drive is in Orford.
Thank you. Oh, excellent. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions or comments to Mr. Porch? Nothing further. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? Carried unanimously. Agenda item 7.3 is the Acting Director of Planning and Development's report, Mr. Bonner. There is a recommendation on page 57. Councillor Young.
I move the council receives and notes the report on the activities on the Planning and Development Directorate.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Councillor Churchill, thank you. Councillor Young, do you have questions or comments?
Nothing to say.
Nothing at this stage. Questions or comments for Mr. Bonner? Councillor Gregson.
With regard to page 55, we've got Weeds Action Fund, WA Stage 3, Round 1. It says here, invasive perennial grasses, southern and eastern Tasmania. A submission has been supported by council and issued for funding to help manage weeds in the Gordon Spring Bay municipality. We recognise that invasive perennial grasses pose a significant expanding threat to both primary production and environmental values in our region. Now, I was just wondering, it goes on and it says,
Yes,
does that
councillor,
include?
councillor Gregson, we can read it.
Yes.
What is your question,
Yes, my
please?
question is, does that include serrated tussock trees?
It says,
Mr. Bonner, councillor Gregson's question is, does it include serrated tussock? And I suspect if it is an invasive perennial grass, it probably does.
it says it in the
Through
motion.
you,
Yeah,
Mayor.
no, it's
Sorry?
a follow-up question.
At dot point two,
There is a dot point there,
it
councillor.
says serrated tussock.
Yeah, that's right. How will that be tackled, please? The serrated tussock
It's not,
invasive?
councillor, that's not something that can be dealt with in this,
Right,
in
okay.
this forum.
No, it's just that it's of great concern within the community.
Councillor Gregson, just one minute. Yes, I accept that serrated tussock is a significant concern right across our municipal area. But for the purposes of this report, your questions can't be answered in this forum. Because this is something, this project's being delivered in partnership with the Joint Catchment Project. So how that is dealt with will be inside that project. Is that a fair assessment, Mr. Porch?
Yes, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
And my second question is, still on page 56, council provided delegations of general manager to approve an application where no more than 2 representations are lodged against the application. A report on these approvals is provided in the attachments. Now, I'm just wondering, so if there is a discretionary, basically a discretionary trigger, but if there's less than 2 representatives, it will still go through. Is that correct?
Mr. Bonner?
Through you, Mayor.
Thank
Yes,
you.
that's correct. The delegation or the restriction on the delegation only relates to representations received.
Thank you.
And I also like to congratulate Daniel Willsmore for his open space walking and cycling strategy. And I look forward to that report. So.
Daniel who, Madam Mayor?
Daniel Willsmore, he was the consultant that was doing the planning, the walking and cycling strategy.
Is that referred to in the report?
Yeah,
Thank you.
Right. Councillor Churchill,
Just wanted to comment on make a comment that it is great to know that we do have a full-time compliance officer now in the animal control area, and no doubt will be used in several other areas. It's good to have that person back on staff. Thank you.
thank you. Any other questions or comments in relation to Mr. Bonner's report? I'd just like to reiterate comments of previous on previous matters by councillors that I find the reports very enlightening, and it does provide council with significant information around the workings of our department. So thank you very much to those that have produced reports for this particular council meeting. I will put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? Carried. Thank you. Agenda item 8 is the officers' reports requiring a decision. So 8.1 is the budget estimates. There is a recommendation on page 62. Councillor Young.
Madam Mayor, I move that council approves the 2025/26 budget estimates consisting of a profit and loss statement, statement of financial position, cash flow statement, and capital works program as shown in this agenda item.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Councillor Churchill. Councillor Young, do you wish to speak to the motion?
No, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Churchill, do you wish to speak to the motion?
No, not at this stage. Thanks.
Not at this stage. Councillor Gregson?
Through the mayor, I'd just like to refer, and I'll refer to the acting general manager, Peter Porch here, with regard to the capital works program. In the draft statement we have of the capital works program, for Swansea, the Swansea had the upgrade of the roof, an installation of a heat pump and a surgery. when we got the final.
Madam Mayor, I didn't hear that. Swansea had something.
Councillor Gregson, you really are going to have to speak up. I'm sorry, we
whispering,
are having
Madam
some difficulty,
Yes.
some
And so
difficulty
we can't
hearing.
hear, I think.
Councillor Young, please let me deal with it. Councillor Gregson, please speak up.
Yeah, okay, I'm just referring to the capital works program within this recommendation.
I heard the word capital works, but not the rest.
Councillor
Right.
Young, please.
And I'm just referring to, in the draft capital works program, the Swansea Football Club had repair of the roof, additions to the servery and a heat pump. When the final capital works program came into being, Swansea Football Club only had the repair of the roof. I was wondering whether those other two items, the heat pump and the servery alterations, is that included within the alterations to the roof or not, please?
Through you, Madam Mayor, we condensed it down to one item and increased the values accordingly. So
So-
yes, the answer is yes, those things are included.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments on the budget estimates? Nothing? Thank you. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? The motion is carried unanimously. Agenda item 8.2 is the rates resolution. There is a recommendation on page 67. Councillor Churchill.
I move that in accordance with the provisions of the Local Government Act 1993, Council adopts the 2025-2026 rates resolution as shown in this agenda item for rateable land within Council's municipal area for the period 1st of July 2025 to 30th of June 2026.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Councillor Gregson, thank you. Councillor Churchill, you wish to speak to the motion?
Yes, I do, please, Mayor.
Yes.
I'd just like to congratulate the staff on getting to this point with our, I guess my comments really relate to the rates resolution as well as the budget, but to be able to keep our increases in line with that long-term financial management plan that we've been looking at now for, I think we're in the 5th or 6th year of it. It's worked to a point where we can now consider our rate increases as being not insignificant, but close to what we need to manage. In other words, looking at it over in a very broad sense, it is really CPI plus 1% is the overall lift in the amount we've required, and that would seem to me to be very much in line with something that is being very well managed financially. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Councillor Gregson?
I'd just like to concur with Councillor Churchill. When you look at the rates resolution this year, or next year, sorry, 2025-2026, the increase in rates is below what the majority of councils throughout the state is. So there's been a whole lot of hard decisions made over the last 5 years, and it really is showing a lot of benefits. So congratulations.
Thank you. Councillor Young, Councillor Young, I think, did you move the motion, I think?
No, I did not.
Oh, sorry, Councillor Churchill did. Sorry, I was just going to, you might like to close debate, but Councillor Young, you have a question? Or
Yes,
comment?
well, I have a comment to make, really. As I understand it, inflation to this council with its costs now exceeds 6% because of the substantial increase in wages, materials and other things that ordinary householders don't normally have to face. And this motion proposes an increase that's a bit below 3% as a general statement, and bearing in mind the updated financial assistance grant to this council from the state and federal government, our grant has gone to $120,000 per annum for use in the general
Councillor Young,
operations.
I'm not sure that that's not, that's the 6th month, Mr. Porch, isn't it?
Gee, Madam Mayor, that's 50% of the payment, so
That
which
was-
indicates it's in the order of 240,
Oh,
but that's not the final number.
Well, thank you, it's double, it seems. But our adjacent councils get well in excess of $1 million. And I think that our financial committee and committee investigating rates and officers investigating rates have done a very good job in keeping our rate increase down to the level they have. There are some ratepayers, especially in the farming and grazing area, that will have very great difficulty in coping with rates this year. I know where I live down south, there's been a shocking drought. It recently had some rain, but not enough to break the drought properly. And it is of concern when some ratepayers get their back to the wall. And just because someone buys a nearby property at 10 times its normal farming value doesn't mean to say that the next door owner of the property is a very affluent person who can afford to pay a big rate increase. That's my comment.
Okay. Councillor Edwards.
Yeah, I'd like to make comment for you, Madam Mayor. I agree with a lot of what Councillor Young has said, particularly I have a great deal of empathy for the what we tend to call land bankers, which I think is unfair. If we don't have developers in the region, we're not going to have any houses. If we're not going to have any houses, we sit here and bleat on about affordable housing. We seem to be making it as expensive as we possibly can for somebody to get a block and build a house, which to me is just so counterproductive, it's not funny. I will also, it's probably not the time and place, have a rant about AAR and AAV. I think it is so vehemently unfair that two people on the same wage in the same value house who choose to spend their money differently. One chooses to have holidays and cars, and one chooses to put it into their home and build their asset. Why should they be penalised? It's just so wrong. And also on the primary industry side of things, I've spoken to some farmers recently who are paying between $40,000 and $50,000 a year rates for nothing. They can't get a thing. You can't sell a sheep. You can hardly give wool away. It's something has to be done. It's not sustainable. How can people pay $1,000 a week to run a farm and they don't even get the rubbish picked up? It's just wrong. It's a tax of jealousy. That's my rant on it.
Unfortunately, councillor, it is defined as a tax under the Act.
Well,
and
I'm not quite so sure about that, but anyway.
Any other questions or comments on the rates? The Deputy Mayor? No, nothing? Councillor Churchill, would you then like to close debate on this?
Yes, I would, Mayor. And unfortunately, I think Councillor Edwards has raised an issue there that he hasn't quite got right. The farmers that you're talking about are still provided with services which are considerable, quite considerable, in the sense of roads, access, all that sort of stuff. They must be using that to get their produce to market, all those sorts of things. They're all part of what we all contribute to. I quite understand the hard times, the difficult times they go through in drought in life. I've been there, I've been a farmer, I've dealt with farmers all of my working career. So I'm not talking about something I know nothing about. But I think even if you
Point of
talk
order.
to them,
I'm being misrepresented in this. Point of order. Council claims to have been misrepresented. To say that farmers use all the services and a lot of them are on national highways.
So, Councillor Edwards, thank you. Is that a point of order?
Well, according to this it is, but it may not be.
Are you calling a point of order? Or
Yes, yeah.
So Councillor Churchill has misrepresented your.
Well, he in my opinion, Councillor Churchill said that I was incorrect in saying they got nothing for their money, and some farmers don't.
Thank you. It's not going to be easy for me to rule on.
Rule, I don't mind how you rule.
No, um, I don't think I can accept your point of order
That's fair.
because councillor Churchill was closing debate on the matter, so. Councillor Churchill, do you wish to continue to close debate on this matter or?
Yes, thank you, Mayor, if I may. I think we've actually compromised this rates decision to raise the amount of money that is required for us to meet our budget and our obligations and services to the community, and that's really what it's all about. I think those people who put so much work and effort into it, and I hope that this also gets the support of council. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Churchill has closed debate. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? Councillor Edwards is against. The motion is carried 6-1. Now, Councillor Young, if I may, I believe there is a motion without notice in accordance with Regulation 20.
Yes, Madam Mayor, I wish to move a motion in accordance with Regulation 20 without notice. The motion relates directly to the item on the agenda for rates resolution. I move that Council direct the General Manager to liaise with farmers who, as of today's date, are using the major portion of their farms for grazing purposes, to determine terms upon which the 2025-26 rate demand can be paid if required, with a report to be provided to Council on the financial impact of any proposed arrangement outside of policy.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Edwards. Councillor Young, do you wish to speak?
Yes,
to the
I do.
motion?
Madam Mayor, there are some farmers.
Councillor Young, could I just interrupt you? I think I have to declare that in accordance with Regulation 18.6, as chairperson, I accept the motion as being appropriate at this stage in the agenda. So,
Thank you, Madam Mayor, for that declaration. Madam Mayor, we have some people that own farming properties in this municipality that are exceptionally affluent, and I don't begrudge them that. I'm not one to envy people's wealth. Most people that acquire affluence have done it through their hard work. But there are some people that have been on farming properties for generations that run grazing properties that are having very difficult times, partly because of drought, partly because the market price for sheep for Tasmanian farmers in this area happens to be very low. Sometimes you can't even sell your sheep, and wool prices are not at their all-time high by any manner of means. And I'm concerned that a number of properties are now moving from being pastoral properties to being used for other primary produce products, such as trees and possibly grapes. But I do know of two farms near where I live, which is right down south. One farm has recently had a market change of use because the vast majority of it is being used for timber and taken out of the pastoral property. And another, which is reputedly the largest farming property on the east coast of Tasmania, the general manager has been sacked. All the stock has been removed, and it's not going to be used for pastoral purposes at all. So that's the reason I moved this motion.
thank you. Councillor Edwards, as the seconder, would you like to comment? And can I just remind you that it is in the context of directing the general manager to if you like, go outside our
Policy.
policy in relation to the policy for, please remind me, Mr. Porch.
For financial hardship.
Financial hardship, thank you. So the motion goes directly to the financial hardship policy that we have. So would you like to comment in respect of that?
Only as far as to concur with councillor Young's comments. We have had some exceptionally bad seasons, and as councillor Young has said, as time goes forward, with these properties selling at massive prices, which are 3 times, 4 times agricultural value, it's going to become an ongoing issue. And if the general manager has any ability to look at policy or address matters, I would certainly encourage him and support him in doing so.
I know, if I may, councillors, when we looked at the financial hardship policy, the comment was made that, that quite often people won't approach council in relation to it. It becomes a matter of pride.
Right.
And so I think, from my perspective, this is a good motion. And I support Councillor Walton.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. I would like to just say that I get the matter of pride, and, you know, whilst I think what we're doing here is helping, or letting people know that we aren't all about the grab of money, and then are able to be empathetic enough to understand the situation with our farmers, given the fact that there is a drought and, you know, varying degrees, and it's a tough gig being a farmer. Oh no, but you know, like you just said. So I think that this is just showing our communities that we are empathetic and caring enough to be able to put this in place. Whether it's taken up with or not, that's another thing. Thank you.
Any further questions or comments, Councillor Gregson?
With regard to the motion, councillor Young referred to of their farms for grazing purposes, but he went on to explain it was pastoral. So I'd like to distinguish grazing and or pastoral. Was it just grazing, or is it pastoral, or what is it for?
Madam Mayor, I don't have a dictionary here, but I will look up now the difference between pastoral and grazing.
Councillor Young, I don't believe that's necessary. I think that's something that the General Manager will have to determine, Councillor Gregson, in the context of this particular motion. So I'm not sure that it is necessary. If there's no further, Councillor.
If I may, just, or that's fine if I can.
Yes.
Just one more comment. The whole basis of the farming issue is it's not the value of the land, it's the return
Yes.
on what they call the DSE, dry sheep equivalent.
That's right.
And that's where the farmers along here are going to be really hammered, because the
Councillor
land
Young,
is valued so highly.
Would you like to close debate on this matter, or should I put the motion?
Well, I
Oh,
think that
Councillor
the judge
Churchill,
would
did
like
you
to
wish
say
to comment? I'm
something.
sorry, I missed you.
I just want to make one brief comment. Yes, I'm totally in support of this motion. However, I think we shouldn't forget that there will be other members of the community that are impacted similarly, who we're not specifically considering in this, and the policies that we have under hardship and so forth are there to be used, to be applied, and it shouldn't be embarrassing if you're in that situation. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Young, do you wish to close debate?
Yes, I would, Madam Mayor. Thank you very much, and thank you, councillors, for listening to this motion. The important difference in this motion is that the onus is on the council to make the approach, and not to the farm to come back, come to council begging. So there's a question of pride, and it is some sorts of farmers that have difficulty with production, namely grazing or pastoral. I thought they both meant the same thing. My apologies, Councillor Gregson. I know there are 560,000 different words in the English language, and I can't always get them right.
Councillor Young, could you
as a
please close debate
consequence,
on your motion?
so as a consequence, I urge council to pass this motion, because then at least some of the people that are suffering will feel that they're not being neglected.
Thank you. The debate has been closed. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? It's carried unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Councillor.
councillors.
Agenda item 8.3 is the 25-26 fees and charges. There were apparently some small errors in that, and there is a recommendation on page 70. Deputy Mayor, thank you.
I'll move that Council 1 endorses the amended fees for search and copy of permit and plans corrected to $61. Road closure fee corrected to $140 plus cost of advertisement. Kennel licence fee corrected to $145 and dog nuisance complaint fee corrected to $54. 2, approves the updated fees and charges register attachment 1 to replace the previously adopted version for the 2025-2026 financial year.
Seconded, Councillor Edwards. Deputy Mayor, do you wish to speak to the motion?
No, this is a piece of housekeeping.
Thank you, Councillor Edwards.
Through you, Mayor, I just have a question. Dog nuisance complaint fee.
Sorry,
Dog nuisance complaint fee.
yes.
Does the person making the complaint or can the complaint against him pay it? What does that?
Mr. Port, can you enlighten
Who
me?
cops that
Now I
one?
may have to defer.
Mr. Bonner.
To you, Mayor, it's the person making the complaint.
Oh, yeah, good, that's fair enough.
Thank you. Are there any other questions
Thank
or
you.
comments? As the Deputy Mayor identified, it really is only some housekeeping. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? It's carried unanimously. Agenda item 8.4 is a review of the delegations register. There is a recommendation on page 74. Councillor Young, thank you.
I move that council endorses the revised delegations register as attached to this report item.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Churchill, thank you. Councillor Young, do you wish to speak to the motion?
Very briefly, if council had to decide every issue of import that came before council, we'd be here for months, and the delegation register is most important. We do keep a record of what delegations have been exercised. The regulations change from time to time, so the register has to be brought up to date.
Thank you. Any questions or comments, Councillor Gregson?
Through the mayor, pardon my ignorance, but it's got here repeatedly, it says here, this section has now been amended and empowers the permit authority in lieu of the general manager. What is the permit authority? Does that change? Is it the same permit authority? What is a permit authority?
Through you, Madam Mayor, the permit authority is determined under the Act. Permit authority, I think in this instance, is the building regulator or CBOS. Individuals are determined to be the permit authority. So where under the legislation that CBOS manages, ministers, accreditation is provided for a building surveyor, for example. They, as a permit authority, can issue a building permit effectively through the process. So in this instance, powers are taken away from the general manager, where they used to sit, is now designated to the permit authorities under that, as a change to the way the legislation is implemented, effectively taking some powers away from the administration of council and giving it to consultants within the building industry.
Right, that's fine. In some other jurisdictions, particularly in New South Wales, when that has happened, there's been a breakdown in the, because there seems to be a conflict between a developer and a surveyor.
Madam Mayor, I can't
Councillor
hear what
Gregson.
the councillor is saying.
Thank you. Councillor Gregson, that's not relevant at this point for this. The situation is that this is a legislative requirement that council has to abide by in this state. That's why we're doing the delegations register as it is.
Right, and just as an addendum to that.
It's not a matter of it's just councillor, that's the situation.
No.
Madam Mayor, is this a question?
Yes, it is. CBOS, could you, the acronym CBOS, could you?
Consumer and business Yes,
Perhaps we can defer to somebody from planning development.
Professional services.
sorry, I'm sorry, Mr. Bonner.
To you, Mayor. I'll make sure I get it right. It's a consumer building and occupational services, so they regulate the building side and the plumbing side of development amongst other things.
Right. If you like to, Google their website, councillor Gregson, I'm sure you'll get all the information you need around it.
Yeah, probably all night.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, could I ask a question about the CBOS issue, please?
You may.
Through you to Acting Director of Planning and Development, does CBOS, that is the permit authority, deal with the question of cladding and high-rise building? The sort of things that recently have had a high
Councillor
fire
Young,
in the
that might,
Dubai Tower,
councillor
and
Young,
Robson General, they had to put all the cladding off it,
councillor Young,
that sort of thing. Does it deal with that?
councillor Young, I don't believe that that's a question for this, for this particular forum. It's a matter that will be dealt with in normal circumstances. If we had a high rise, councillor Young.
Well, someone might apply.
Sorry, I didn't mean to be facetious, councillor Young.
No,
Are there
no,
any
it's
other,
I'm
any other
sure they're
questions?
good things, high rises. People who build them.
Forty councillors. Is there no further questions in relation to the delegations register? I will put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? It's carried unanimously. Agenda item 8.5 is a community grant for Bicheno Men's Shed. There is a recommendation on page 77. Deputy Mayor?
I'll move that council approve the application for community small grant funding of $1,000 to the Bicheno Community Men's Shed for $1,000 for partial payment of insurance policy for 2025 and 2026.
Thank you. Seconder, councillor Edwards? Yes. Do you wish to speak to it, councillor?
Other than they're a really good organisation within Bicheno that does good work, and we can help them out. They do struggle to collect enough money for those sorts of things within those type of costs that aren't necessarily passed on to the community. So if we can help them, I think we should.
Councillor Churchill, then councillor Edwards.
Just a point that I think needs to be made there is that according to this chart that we have on page 76, the Bicheno Men's Shed's already had an allocation in this last year. It's about the 6th line down or something like that, 1, 2, yeah, 6th line down. And so this is really the second bite of the cherry. Now, I have no objection to them having the money. I just think that point needs to be made. And it could be viewed in another way, that this money really sitting there now is a surplus, or the surplus that we would have had left out of the 15,000 that's allocated to that. Now, I've gone to the trouble of reading the policy, and under the policy, it is up to us to decide as a council about any residue that is left. I think that I've got the interpretation right in that. I'm happy to be corrected if I'm wrong, but if that is the case, we need to be at least being aware of that, because you know, in another week's time, effectively, the Men's Shed can put in another claim in next year's budget for this as well. So I just thought that that point should be raised.
If I may, councillor Churchill, my best guess would be that the $890 was probably insurance early in this financial year, and so we've come through here, and this is a little bit like the one we had last month where we delayed it. I'm not quite sure what to do on that case. Councillor Edwards, you were next.
Through you, Mayor, I see I fully support but I see there's a $71.83 shortfall for the requested amount in the account,
How much?
$71.83 shortfall for the requested amount. So does that mean we give them 900 and whatever it happens to be? Or do we add $71.83 out of the coffee tin?
Mr. George, before I go to councillor
And there was,
Gregson,
I did have another part. Is there, before you answer that, Acting General Manager, George, we seem to get a lot of requests for help with insurance costs from various community groups. I'm not saying there is or there isn't, but is it worth talking to insurance brokers to see if we could get an overriding thing cheaper? So instead of all these people, or do they all go through the same insurance broker? Do you know?
Through you, Madam Mayor, it's up to them to get insurance wherever they
Yeah.
can get insurance, and work council to get involved in trying to broker they wouldn't
Deal.
necessarily get the best deal for each one of them. So they would, in a sense, be better off to be getting their own. And it's part of them having their own, their auspice, their own
contacts.
Yeah, they've got their own structures. So they need to be finding their own. I don't know that there would be any benefit in that. Haven't heard of any other councils who are looking to do that. Could be an inquiry we could make to see whether others are
Just to see.
doing something similar, because yes, you're quite right.
You've got 10, 12 different groups that might get a discount.
so councillor Edwards, could I just add to that? My own sporting organisation, we were able to access blanket cover for all the clubs right across Australia. It ended up being quite detrimental for the smaller clubs because the broker put this blanket requirement which didn't apply to smaller clubs. And what we found in my particular sport was that some clubs were paying $3,000 when they really should have only been paying $1,300 kind of thing. So a blanket cover like that for sporting organisations or even volunteer organisations doesn't always work out to be the best in my experience. Councillor Gregson, you had a question?
Yes, I do. With regard to the Missionary Men's Shed at $890.91, I think that refers to the, it's got here in the appendix here, for the agenda, or what it is called, attachments. Total due $1,890 by 13th of the 7th, 2024. So I assume that's a contribution to that. Would it be an idea for the men's shed here, which it's a fantastic organisation, no matter what, and I sort of fully support the grant, but would it be an idea just to transfer that to the next month, and then they would have their contribution, plus it wouldn't double up on the so-called this year's. So that's just a thought.
Is it up to council? Councillor Churchill, you actually raised that issue, so do you have any thoughts around that?
Well, if you'd like me to put an amendment to that effect, I'm sure we can draw one up. But I was raising it more to bring an awareness of the fact rather than creating a solution to the problem. And
A procedural motion to defer this matter into the next meeting so that it goes into our next budget.
I'd say move, Madam Mayor.
So councillor Young, you've moved that
This matter be deferred
deferred to our next meeting
to a July meeting.
to address this matter in the next financial year budget. It's only a 1 month delay effectively.
I see the mover nods his head.
Yeah.
So I need a seconder for the deferral motion. That didn't move. Councillor Gregson, you've moved that you've seconded the deferral motion. All right, so on that basis, it is a procedural motion. I will put the motion out to debate. Those in favour of deferring the matter? Those against? Councillor Edwards is against. Thank you. The motion is carried. Thank you. And we will advise the men's shed accordingly that the deferral is only related to our budgeting process. Is that acceptable? Thank you. 8.8 6 is the LGAT's Lift the Tone campaign, which they've been doing for quite some time now. Recommendation page 80, councillor Young.
Madam Mayor, I reluctantly move that the council resolves to challenge the normalisation of abuse against elected members and officers and uphold exemplary standards of public and political debate in all it does. Council further resolves to pledge support the Local Government Association of Tasmania's Lift the Tone campaign in supporting the pledge. Council commits to promoting civility in public debate, refraining from abusive language and behaviour online or in person, encouraging others to engage respectfully.
Seconder, councillor Gregson. Councillor Young, do you wish to speak to the
Yes,
motion?
Madam Mayor, I move the motion because it's come as the result of Local Government Association of Tasmania asking us to vote in the manner as suggested by the officer's recommendation. The motion itself does presume that abuse is normal. Now, I don't think it is in this council. We've had the odd case where people get cross. Usually it's me, I'm the one that gets ticked off usually. But I don't recall any abusive language
Councillor
on the
Young,
part of anyone in this municipality against council or councillors against each other. But I support the motion and I move it because of the fact that's what Local Government Association of Tasmania, our betters, want.
there has been some significant problems, members of the public to elected members in other areas, councillor Young, and that's why local government
Well, I've
association.
never struck it, Madam Mayor. I don't know why. They
believe me,
always
I
have a
have.
go at others.
Councillor Gregson, do you wish to speak to the
Yes, yes, I
motion?
do. Just taking into account promoting civility in public debate. in front of
Councillor
abuse
Gregson,
of
again, you are going to have to speak up,
Yeah,
please.
Just referring to the recommendation here, promoting civility in public debate, refraining from abusive language and behaviour online or in person, encouraging others to engage respectfully. That should really be taken for granted. If it's not, we have a workplace that's unsafe. So it's a question to ponder for all.
I didn't hear the last
No, I
whispered
didn't
word.
either, councillor Young.
So I'm just saying, I referred to the 3 dot points in the recommendation.
Yes.
And then I said that the work that would possibly constitute a workplace that's unsafe. Now,
What
now
would?
those 3 points, pretty essential.
Councillor Young,
Yeah.
please. All right, councillor Gregson, you've made your point.
Yeah.
Are you supporting the motion or not?
Yes, yes.
Thank you. Speaker, councillor Edwards.
Could I just make comments, please, through you, Madam Mayor? You have to support the motion because otherwise you'd be castigated. But it's windmills and fairy floss, wind chimes and fairy floss. So what I might take as abuse, Councillor Young may not take as abuse.
I'd probably faint.
The whole thing,
Councillor Young,
to me is just kumbaya, but we have to support it. I can't see, if somebody wants to abuse me in the street, am I going to say, hang on, as an elected member, I want to normalise the abuse against me? Seriously.
thank you. All right, if there's nothing,
Through
yes, thank you.
Madam Mayor, the motion does go to councillors and council officers, and if I could just make reference to a comment that was put on a local page this week. Put a name to the idiot that is proposing these plans so the public can identify them. That's vilification.
I didn't hear that, the last bit.
It was a Facebook post, councillor Young, and it was put
I
on
didn't
to
know
one.
that.
Councillor,
The comment was put a name to the idiot that is proposing these plans so the public can identify them.
Oh,
Vilification of public officers doing their
well,
job.
as a council staff.
So on that note, I will put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Agenda item 9 is councillors' motions on notice. There are none for this meeting. There are no petitions at agenda item 10. Agenda item 11 is councillor question time. There are no questions on notice for question time.
Madam,
Sorry, councillor.
I'm just putting my hand in before.
Yeah, councillor Walker.
I'm just putting my hand up before others do.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
By
I
all
just
means.
wanted to make a comment or statement if I may.
In comments and statements, so we're
Yes.
moving to agenda item 11.2.
Yes,
Thank you. Yes,
thank you. I'm just getting.
yes.
Firstly, I would like to acknowledge the winter swim, the solstice swim on Saturday at Rasmus Beach, of which I was the only councillor that took part.
did you attend?
I did,
Swim?
yes.
Councillor Young.
And I must also say that our acting general manager, Peter Porch, had a fantastic analogy. Whilst we were there, he went swimming in full suit and umbrella. Or not swimming, he just went in. He didn't get his shoulder. No, he didn't get his shoulder
Okay.
pads wet. But anyway, it was a very good analogy, and it was so good and pleasing to see the number of staff, council staff that were there, taking part in what was a beautiful day. The water, yes, it was cold, but the day itself was absolutely stunning. I went in with a cup of tea. They all said I should have a glass of wine, but it's too early in the day. But anyway, for me. But yes, I just wanted to say, just to acknowledge, you know, what the Suicide Prevention Network people do is fantastic for our community. We had Mariah singers there to warm the cockles of our hearts, and it was just great. The second thing I wanted to do, and I'm sure people know, but I just wanted to acknowledge the passing of Jason Watson, one of our staff members, a very sudden death. And I'm sure I can speak on council's behalf and say that we are thinking of his wife and children at this sad time. It was a bit of a shock. I only worked with Jason for a short time on the Elder Care Committee, and I found him always courteous and helpful. So again, our condolences to his family.
Thank you, councillor Walker.
Yes.
I
Took the words right out of your mouth.
Yes, thank you. I totally endorse your comments.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
I had the pleasure of working with Jason for quite a while. Any other questions or comments, councillor Gregson?
I've got 2 or 3 comments, statements, whatever. I'd just like to notify people the municipality of Bicheno Beams will commence on Saturday, the 28th of June. If they're obliged to go on the Saturday, they'll get the 2 sessions, because normally they have 1 session per night, and then they have an alternative session the following night. So if they turn up on the Saturday, the 28th of June, they'll be able to view both. So that should be my advantage, and it's a great income earner for Bicheno at a time that's quite low on tourist numbers. So congratulations to that initiative. Just secondly, on a very serious note, and I don't wish to be interrupted in this because it does have a pertinent and salient effect on this municipality. Unfortunately, we had last week the death of Keith Smith, who was a constable in the Tasmanian Police. And I'd really like to convey my condolences to his family and friends, but in particular the community of the police force. This will affect them undoubtedly very harshly, and especially the police officers within this municipality. So I'd really like to just be very kind towards those police officers at this very tender time. Also, it was mentioned that Constable Smith was the first officer to be killed during a fatality by gunfire for 100 years. 100 years ago, on the 11th of October 1922, Frederick Henderson, was shot dead, fatally shot dead, doing his duty at Swansea or near Swansea. And there is a memorial plaque in the East Coast Heritage Museum to mark that. So I'd just like to mention that so people.
Thank you, councillor Gregson.
Yeah,
Move on with the next.
yes, and also I'd like to concur with Councillor Walker with regard to Mr. Jason Watson, who I didn't particularly know. I knew him, but I still have great sympathy for his family and friends. More than I did.
Thank you, councillor Gregson. Yeah, councillor Churchill, thank you.
Yes, I just wanted to speak briefly about the Bendigo Bank, which on the 26th of May had a community gathering with their staff and with their board members at the branch restaurant in Swansea. And speakers at that event told us of some of the local organisations and the benefits that have been provided to those organisations. And I just thought it was worthy of stating a few of these activities that they've become involved in and the contributions they've made to the community. And as impressed as I am, and at risk of sounding like this being an advertisement, I just wanted to read out some of the things that they have done, which I really didn't know about. I knew that they made contributions, but I didn't realise the extent and the ongoing amounts that they've been able to contribute. And I'll just read these parts out. It's 17 years since the bank was established here, and in that 17 years, they've returned over $570,000 to the community. Some examples of the support include, recently there was $60,000 to the Marine Rescue towards the purchase of a new boat. There was $30,000 to May Shore towards the purchase of a new bus. $10,000 to Swansea School for students to visit Canberra in August, and a similar contribution was made last year, I believe, to Bicheno School to allow them to do the same thing. They have contributed to lots of the sporting organisations, golf clubs, bowls clubs, etc. And apparently there was a contribution to the Bicheno Surf Life Saving Club to build a deck onto the building. These are all quite recent too, apparently. And contributions to Bicheno Beans and to the Eco Festival in Swansea. That's just a few of the things that they've done, but I was quite amazed at actually how much they are contributing. And I do think it's worth letting the community know, and hopefully it might be a small help towards keeping a community bank in our area.
Just to add to that, they are a major sponsor of the Food and Wine Festival.
Correct.
As well, and have been for a long time.
And I will add, it is in there, I was on the board for a while, and it's in their charter that they have to give, I've forgotten the percentage, a large percentage of their profit back to the community. It's a fantastic thing that they do.
No, there's a large number of volunteer groups that have benefited, as you
Absolutely.
identified. Councillor Churchill. So I
570,000,
think it's certainly worthy of comment.
Very impressive.
Anything further? Agenda item 11.2? Nothing further, we'll move on. The agenda item 12 is the confidential item, so in accordance with the requirements of the local government meeting procedures regulations, as Mayor, I now declare the meeting closed to the public in order to discuss the following matters: requests for leave of absence, notification of leave of absence for parental leave, minutes of a closed session of council held on the 27th of May, personnel matter from the acting general manager, and the appointment of a chief executive officer. There is a recommendation on page 84. Deputy Mayor, thank you.
I'll move that council moves into closed session at 3:29.
Is there a seconder? Councillor Young, thank you. I'll put the motion. All those in favour Those against, carried unanimously. Thank you. Thank you, councillors. I'll now confirm with Mrs Kerr when the recording is terminated.